Hi there, my name is Essa and you're watching Essa Speaks. So today I'm going to read the novel's 4th chapter, in which they're going to tell about the terrible shovels. And see you in the end of the video. Chapter number 4, The Terrible Shovels. Down the hall, Mrs. Fox was tenderly licking the stump of Mr. Fox's tail to start the bleeding. It was the finest tail for miles around, she said between licks. "It hurts," said Mr. Fox. "I know it does, sweetheart, but it'll get soon better." "And it will grow again, Dad," said one of the small foxes. "It will never grow again," said Mr. Fox. "I shall be tailless for the rest of my life." He looked very glum. There was no food for the foxes that night, and soon the children dozed off, and then Mrs. Fox dozed off. But Mr. Fox couldn't sleep because of the pain in the stump of his tail. "Well," he thought, "I suppose I'm lucky to be alive at all." And now they found our hole. "We're going to have to move out as soon as possible." What was that? He turned his head sharply and listened. The noise he heard now was the most frightening noise a fox can ever hear. The scrapping of shovels digging into the soil. "Wake up!" he shouted. "They're digging us out!" Mrs. Fox was wide awake in 1 second. She sat up, quivering all over. "Are you sure that's it?" she whispered. "I'm positive. Listen." "They'll kill my children," cried Mrs. Fox. "Never," said Mr. Fox. "But my darling, they will," sobbed Mrs. Fox. "You know they will." Scratch, scratch, scratch went the shovel above their heads. Small stones and bits of earth began to falling from the roof of the tunnels. "How will they kill us, Mummy?" asked one of the small foxes. His round black eyes were huge with fright. "Will they be dogs?" he said. Mrs. Fox began to cry. She gathered her 4 children close to her and held them tight. Suddenly, there was an especially loud crunch above their heads, and the sharp end of the shovel came right through the ceiling. The sight of this awful thing seemed to have an electric effect upon Mr. Fox. He jumped up and shouted, "I've got it! Come on, there's not a moment to lose! Why didn't I think of it before?" "Think of what, Dad?" "A fox can dig quicker than a man," shouted Mr. Fox, beginning to dig. "Nobody in the world can dig as fast as a fox." The soil began to fly out furiously behind Mr. Fox, and he started to dig for dear life with his front feet. Mrs. Fox ran forward to help him. So did the 4 children. "Go downwards," ordered Mr. Fox. "We've got to go deep as we possibly can." The tunnel began to grow longer and longer. It sloped steeply downwards. Deeper and deeper below the surface of the ground it went. The mother and the father and all 4 children were digging together. Their front legs were now moving so fast you couldn't see them. And gradually, the scratching and scratching and scrapping of the shovels became fainter and fainter. After about an hour, Mr. Fox stopped digging. "Hold it," he said. They all stopped. They turned and looked back up the long tunnel they had just dug. All was quiet. "Phew," said Mr. Fox. "I think we've done it. They'll never get as deep as this. Well done, everyone." They all sat down, panting for breath, and Mrs. Fox said to her children, "I should like you to know that if it wasn't for your father, we should all be dead by now. Your father is a fantastic fox." Mr. Fox looked at his wife and she smiled. He loved her more than ever when she said things like that. Well, hi again. So, you know what happened in this chapter, and I'm going to tell you what happens in the next chapter. So they'll bring some tractors, and they'll try to dig Mr. Fox out, and you'll see what will happen. Bye.